So after reading a chapter, well, I read a chapter a while ago, and I have a full video on it. But I want to talk about a concept which he brings up, which is called the phantom. I want to talk about the phantom having to do with deconstruction and just what that is in general. The phantom is kind of a new concept. I guess it's newer to me because I didn't. It's newer to me compared to his other works. Don't think I've encountered it otherwise. But the phantom is like in that book he talks about how, oh my friends, there is no friend, and oh my enemy, there is no enemy. He talks about this little friend enemy sort of thing, which how the friend collapses into the enemy, and the enemy collapses into the friend. And gonna have eventually 4 videos up on this channel about that book, and then once I've made a few more books or made a few more videos about certain concepts in that book, I'll move on to videos on this book, which is by him. This is called of Grammatology. So, what is the phantom? The phantom is kind of like the idea of trace, where it's like in let's say in the concept opposites presence and absence. He says, in actually a lot of places, that in every concept there's a trace of its opposite. How in presence you can find absence, and how in absence you can find presence. And how pretty much there's a trace of in any concept there's a trace of its opposite in it, where if you deconstruct and marginalize the concept, you will find a trace of its opposite within it. And it makes me think of Jean-Paul Sartre in his book Being and Nothingness, where he's in the cafe and he's waiting for his friend Pierre. It was time for him to be there, and he's not. He's thinking about the absence of his friend Pierre, where it's the absence of somebody. It's an absence where you can think about a absence of something, where we kind of come back to the riddle of Plato's beard, where there is being in non-being and non-being in being. We kind of come back to a lot of existentialism and all this stuff, like Heidegger and Sartre, where you find nothingness in being, and that's kind of a big issue, really. So I think it's kind of interesting because in Derrida, if you marginalize or deconstruct a concept and strip it off, you find a trace of it. And the phantom is very similar, where when you hear the word phantom, you think of like a ghost or a poltergeist, where in the term friend there is within it the phantom of the enemy. And he proves this in that, saying that, well, he doesn't prove it, but he shows it in the idea of democracy, where democracy is made because of enemies. However, it's made to have majority rule, so it's made because of friends. It's made because of people, to give people the rule. Whether it's by electing people to rule, like it is here today, or if it's like where the people themselves rule. It's the rule of the rule of the majority of the people, and thus the democracy, according to Derrida, which I have made a video about, and I will make another video about that same thing, that democracy is the epitome of the friend enemy, and that democracy was made because of the enemy, because to defend themselves against the enemy, to protect people against the enemy, but it's also made because of the friend. So because of the majority rule sort of thing. However, the whole thing kind of collapses upon itself because of the idea of the friend enemy, and how in the idea of the friend there's the phantom of the enemy, and in the idea of the enemy there's the phantom of the friend. So the phantom is like sort of a different, sort of a similar concept to trace. And I think it's pretty cool how that works. And if you read Derrida's Politics of Friendship, you'll see how the idea of democracy is sort of a redundant thing. How it's for the friend and for the enemy. However, in politics, in the political, according to Derrida, there is inherently the friend enemy right there. What is the friend enemy? The friend enemy is the concept of the friend and the enemy contained within itself, because the political occurs because of the people, because of the friend. However, there are no friends, and thus there are enemies because of the enemies of the political. It's kind of difficult to explain. However, that's what he's saying. So the idea of the phantom is like trace. So I just wanted to explain that a little bit. If I probably didn't do very well, but if you want to talk about this, or if you think I butchered something, comment below. Thank you.